This podcast is made for fun and is not subsidized. Hi everyone, welcome to Lowerdecks Fantasy and Sci-Fi. I'm your host Orinda, and today we are talking about Star Trek Lowerdecks Season 2, Episode 1, Strange Energy, with my good friend Marc Seven. Star Trek Lowerdecks is an American adult animated television series created by Mike McMahon for the streaming service Paramount+. It is in the ninth Star Trek series and was launched in 2020 as part of producer Alice Kurtzman's to expand the Star Trek universe. Lower Decks is the franchise's first animated series since the 1970s series Star Trek the Animated Series, and its first comedic series. It followed the low-ranking support crew of the starship USS Curious in the year 2380. I still don't know what I think of Star Trek Lower Decks. I could not connect with it in the first season. The only episode that hits me was the last episode, and maybe it is that sometimes I do not understand the jokes that they make. I am still giving season 2 a chance because I know that there will be a few nice characters come by that we all love. Our guest today is Marc Seven, a good friend of mine and my regular guest when I do a Star Trek episode. Hello Marc, and thank you for joining me.
Hello, Linda, and I'm every time glad to be here.
Good. Well, we're going to talk about the first episode of season 2 of Lower Decks. Yeah, what are your thoughts about it?
It was interesting because usually Lower Decks don't follow each detail of the episodes, but the last season ended with so many changes. You see, Boimler is in another ship, and the ship security is dead, and we have a new relationship between Mariner and his mother. But this was the only things you see differently. You can even see Rutherford. He has his implant again. We
Yeah.
thought he needed to be adapting to live without it, but he has a new one installed.
Yeah, I must say that was a very funny part of when what's her name? Tandy
Yeah,
was
Tandy.
like to
Tandy Tandy has we have lucky to see Tandy and her way to be an Orion and deal with all the emotions inside her and the way she deals with that. Sometimes she forced her way so her heart can reach Rutherford, that the one he loves, the one she loves. It's interesting. We started this episode just looking to the Mariner's way just to have exercise. It was impressive. And as always, we see everywhere we see in these new words in these holodeck programs, even in the captain's room, you will see many Easter eggs there. We saw when the Cardassian when she was running away from the Cardassian prison, she
yeah.
stole a Miranda class starship, and in the way she destroyed many gem radar ships, and there were some even runabouts in that scenario. It seems to be a trophy room from the Cardassians, so
Mm-hmm.
they didn't forget the details. It was interesting.
Yeah, tell me about the Easter eggs because I hear everyone talking about the Easter eggs in the episodes, and I have no idea what people are talking about.
Oh yeah, because you need to see many times as I do. I at least see this each episode of Lower Decks 5 times. First, because they talk very fast, and sometimes for me it's hard to follow it, what everything they say. And we need to pay attention to what they say, and we need to pay attention what is in the scenery. We can see everything, and we can't understand what's happening. We need to focus in each line of information. First, we have the words, as I said. But if you see the room of the captain, you see Sextante in her room. You have a baseball ball in her room too, a sword, and a model of an older starship is there too. And those items you can see in Picard, in Cisco memorabilia. So it's interesting. Everybody knows someone have a thing like that in his shelf, you know.
Yeah.
And and the things go away. If they Mariner came to her bed there in the lower deck, and she saw we saw that Boimler's bed is now is now an old things deposit. But
Yeah.
if you look carefully, you will see things that were all achieved in the last season are
Mm-hmm.
there. The story of the last season is all on Boimler's bed.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I must say that I still don't know what I think about Lower Decks because I'm not really into it. But I must say, the first episode of this season was okay. I liked it, and especially the mother and daughter relationship. That's really funny.
Yeah, but you see at the end of the episode they managed to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
The captain became captain alone, and Maryland were going to the brig. No more no more sharing command in there.
Yeah, I think we have to wait what the season will bring us in that aspect. If
In
she
that
still,
perspective, I think they will bring the series to what it was before in the first season. The same problems Mariner used to have, she will have again. The first officer had a jealous problem, but it was fixed, and everything is going back to normal. The other thing that needs to happen is Boiler to come back.
yeah, I really love that part as well. As that he was on Riker's ship and Riker was totally went nuts, and I really loved that. It's just something Riker would do.
Yes, yes. Since the first time we saw Riker in the last episode of last year, it was amazing to see him and to see Diana Troy there. His wife looking for the captain that is not only her captain, is her husband now. So the relationship between the both of them is much more complicated than used to be in Starfleet.
Yeah, and in one sense, it's I don't want to say the same, but it's Mariner and the captain has also some kind of bond like that because they are mother and daughter.
Yes, yes, this became more open when the secret between them and the ship was revealed last year. So now they need to live another kind of relationship. But as we saw in this episode, they decided to get that distance again.
Mm-hmm.
So with this distance, both can work better.
Yeah, and I think in a way because I know if you are in this town, like I said for, if you are in the military, and I know, and I know that it's in the Netherlands, and I think also in the UK, is that if you are family related into a, for example, a squadron or a ship, for example, like the captain will be one of your relatives, that you can't be on that ship or company or whatever because you are family related.
Yes, yes, that's a command prerogative that states that you can't be a part of a command if you are emotionally involved in someone. And that's why they also avoid romantic relationship between the crew.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Starfleet, this is not so deep. So usually you can love and have and socialize with everyone in the ships. No, this is no problem, since it does not interfere with each one's duties.
Mm-hmm.
So in Star Trek, mankind is more evolved. We can how can I say, we can work with this kind of defects. You can tell that we can work better with this kind of dangers offered by our own ego in this kind of situation, because we are in the 21st 23rd century. We are more evolved mankind socially, better speaking.
Do you think? Let I go to Ransom. Ransom in this
Mm.
episode was sick and tired, and I think a little bit jealous of Mariner that she get everything done, and her mother allow her a lot of things, and he just have to stand by and Fox be a like a second in command.
Yes, this is a constant in his life. You see, the last season he was always trying to be the best thing that captain can have. But today it have an addendum to that. That was that strange energy that
Mm-hmm.
invaded his brain. So everybody say that absolute power corrupts you absolutely, makes you show yourself to everyone. In Chinese, they say, if you want to know someone, you give him power.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we knew the inner side of Handsome. And when we we saw his big head domining everything else. So
Mm-hmm.
what happened to him? It's very normal in the actual form of our minds to work.
Yeah, and now talking about that, I think this is the first time in the Lower Deck series that there is actually a lesson in it. Like if the jealous part, the part of that you want to have power, and that you have to come back of to, you have to fall back to quote normal again.
Yeah, but the news thing, if you look carefully, you'll see that you'll never find any psychologist that will recommend that kind of kick
Mm-hmm.
to brings you to reason again.
Mm-hmm. I know. I know. Yeah, that was a funny part too. By the way, is that how he lost
Yes.
his power? That Mariner kicked him in the balls, and that he.
Yeah, it was the Mariner approach to that. And you see in there are another references to the to Kirk time, because every time Gary Mitchell was hidden, strongly hidden, you see his eyes lose that shine, and he said, "Oh, Jim, it's me again." That so so that's the same effect they applied there, and you see another. Where in the end, you see they tossed a rock over him, just like Kirk did to kill Gary Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
So they followed the original story to the end. It was very interesting, and that's another way to see an Easter egg in the story.
Yeah, I must say that in this episode, I understood the humor better than I did in season one, because in season one it didn't uh, get started with it. Like I did had the same feeling with Discovery at first,
Mm.
and the only episode that really hit me was the last episode of season one that
Hmm.
Boiler went to Riker and you saw Diana Troy, etc., etc., etc.
Yes, that was exactly the what, how can I say? They wanted to end the season one in a way everyone want a season two. So you see, they know where to do to make this the series more seriously, more very close to the original Next Generation, and then when everything is okay, they go away in the stories just like Mariner will do. This the new style to do this.
What are your expectations for the rest of the season?
Well, I last year I was catching some things that looks like Easter eggs and that would take us to another consequences that and every time I made that prediction, something never happens. So I prefer not to make any prediction. We see some teasers in the way and some very funny scenes. But to imagine how this story will be, I can't. I will not a risk. I will not take risk anymore.
No, I think that's really an open book for us all. And, well, like I think, well, sorry guys if you don't want to hear this. Spoiler alert! I saw that Q is coming back too.
Yeah, he was back. He was back. He was seen in the last season.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, but
And
he's coming back from Picard. He's very busy now with all the advertising about that. But uh, if he comes again, we will welcome him as always.
I think what I do think in Lower Decks and Q is in there, it's only gonna make it better in a way because it's Q we're talking about.
I don't think so. The last time they made so many jokes about him, and Mariner simply didn't care, and he didn't care too.
Well, what I think what would be interesting is, um, well, we know how Q is was with Janeway and Picard, but it's gonna be a heck of a lot of laughter if they're going
Hmm.
to put Q and Mariner together because we know Mariner is going to kick ass.
Yeah, but Q already knows that. It's nothing. There's nothing. He. There's no question needing an answer for Q. I believe this will not be a mystery for him to explore. But you'll never, as I said before, I can't predict what these writers are planning for us. You you simply, if you plan something, it may be not, it may not be real for you in the next episodes, and you lose your time expecting something that is not coming. So be ready to be surprised all the episodes in every one of them.
Do you think that the writers will write Captain her mother off or Mariner herself to go to another ship as in that relationship?
Well, I saw the admiral, her father,
Yes.
speaking to her mother. So because what they did last season, uh, facing the Packlet, uh, called the attention of the admiralty about her mother. So how good captain she is. So they mention it something as give her another ship, a new one. That's an also other is another possibility. So we can't imagine what they can do about that.
Yeah, the funny part of this is also that when you saw that the admiral called the captain in like a family manner, but also asking of Starfleet questions of how the mission is doing going.
Yes, yes.
It reminds me of that. those episodes with Geordie LaForge and his parents.
I remember, but it was a situation very stable,
Yeah.
uh, despite the fact of his mother disappeared in service. That was a shock for him. But in case of Mariner and her father, many things good and bad can happen yet. They want to make comedy, and the comedy here is to put her mother in a better ship and see if the other members of the crew can go with her or not, or can bring her back. Maybe that can happen too. It will it will make some laughs.
Yeah, I think we have to wait and see what the writers have in store for us.
Yes, and believe me, they won't surprise us.
Yeah, I think that that's what I really noticing about Lower Decks is it's completely different kind of writing. Like for the other series, like for Discovery or Picard, for example.
Yes, yes, you can compare you can compare someone who wrote Picard and someone who wrote Lower Decks in the same way he wrote um, uh, Rick and Morty, for instance. So
Hmm.
they want very many kinds of type of people watching the series. If you don't like Picard, you surely will love Lower Decks and vice versa. They did that. They do that since Deep Space Nine. They made Deep Space Nine in a way that if you don't like Star Trek Next Generation because of the excess of technology, they made Deep Space Nine for people who doesn't love technology. So the series is more about people and their defects than the perfection of technology we see in Next Generation or even in Voyager. So they are spreading the net to get more fish in the sea.
Is there anything else that comes in mind here of this episode that you like to
Let,
talk about?
let's take a little look in my. Ah, yes, you can see a bottle of Saurian whiskey in her drawer
Mm.
when she was in her bed. If you look again, you like Easter eggs, though, so this is one more. And if you, the last thing I can say about this episode, if you see someone that was uh, uh, that was hit by strange energies and became a god complex, you know exactly where to kick him. Okay.
Well, I must say that the jokes are better understandable than what I have seen in season one.
That's because we have an ambient now. We know the people, we know about what they are talking about, so it's more easy to make some punchlines.
Is there anything you would like to see back in the episodes of Lower Decks?
Well, I would love to see more than Riker and Diana. I can see. I wish I can see Geordi or the Doctor from Voyager. We will soon see. Spoiler alert: we will soon see Star Trek Prodigy with Janeway again,
And
and we just knew that Chakotay may appear too.
yeah, I heard that too.
So it's a wonderful time to be a Star Trek fan. I'm very happy for that. And that's why we are here talking about Star Trek.
Yeah, and we are going to do that a lot more in the future.
Amen to that.
Well, thank you, Mark, for being my guest today, and I will talk to you soon, I guess.
Okay, I will be glad to be here wherever you need and whenever you want to talk about Star Trek. That's my favorite thing to do.
All right, live long and prosper.
Peace and prosperity and happiness too.
If you like this podcast, you can like and subscribe on all the platforms. You can also follow and comment on Podbean, Spotify, and Google Podcast. On social media, the Facebook group, the Discord server, and YouTube channel of Orinda Talks Fantasy and Sci-Fi, and on Twitter at OTFASP. Let me know what you think of this episode. In the next episode, we will talk about World of Warcraft. I am Orinda, and thank you for listening to Orinda Talks Fantasy and Sci-Fi. See you next time.